Hello, good evening. Just going to give this a moment and see if anybody jumps on, and then I'll get started on the Wheel of Fortune. I'm hoping that many of you may play the game I posted tonight. Here shortly, I'm going to review the cards that we've covered so far, just to kind of give you a brief review of the order of things here. And of course, you can Google, or Googling would probably be the easiest way to remember the numerical order of the major arcana cards, and it'll even tell you the meaning of the cards as you're learning them. So I think it'll be a fun way to narrate a story in our group, as well as commit the order of the major arcana along with the meanings. So I was wanting to shake it up and do something fun, So I will go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and review the cards that we've covered so far from the major arcana. So we have, let me move my incense a bit. This guy is really smoking up a lot. Let me see here. I'll set him here. Okay, so we have the Fool, also known as our Seeker. Okay, so remember, the Fool is 0. We have our first card, which is the Magician. The second being the High Priestess. The third being the Empress. The fourth being the Emperor. The fifth being the Hierophant. The sixth being the Lovers. The seventh being the Chariot. The eighth being Strength. The ninth being the Hermit. Okay, and then that brings us to our card that we will be reviewing tonight, which is the Wheel of Fortune. So there's a lot going on with the symbols in this card, but we're going to start off first with the overall basic meaning. So remember that prior to encountering this 10th card, our Fool had been spending time either with the Hermit or he was the Hermit, right? And if you haven't watched all of the tarot teaching moments, feel free to review those on the Mountain Crow Tarot page, or even check them out on YouTube. It'd be even easier. They're in chronological, or actually numerical order. You could hit play all, even if you needed to, and go through all of them for a review. So remember that our Seeker generally was exhausted from his journey by the time he got to this part, and he went off alone for quiet and solitude and reflection to obtain further insight and clarity to help him advance on his journey, and to also help others, not just himself. So it's at this juncture with the Wheel of Fortune that the Fool, he could have just quit the journey where he's at. So he could have went to his little hermit cave and been like, the first half of this journey has really exhausted me. meeting all these wild characters, and he's learned so much. He could have been like, I don't have it in me to meet other people. Or they're thinking, you know what? I have really grown from this experience and meeting these people and growing in my knowledge and experiences. I'm going to continue my journey. So this is an example of the Wheel of Fortune. Also short, you could call it the wheel for short. And basically this means that from a fatalistic viewpoint, we have no control over every single aspect of our lives. Like, yeah, right, like we wish. Life happens. And even though we have no control over our environment, the only person we truly have control over is ourselves and the choices that we make. And of course, there's always consequences, right? Like cause and effect. So the cloud portion, it represents thinking, if you see a little bubble, like in a cartoon with a narrative within it, it's the thought processes. And it's like the cosmos, it's the universe, it's that fatalistic viewpoint that there's forces outside of us that drive life as we know it, right? And again, different belief systems, different way of looking at things, right? However, the wheel itself, just kind of think about that game show, Wheel of Fortune, which happens to be one of my favorite game shows, by the way. I'm a huge fan of the app. I've been playing it for years and highly recommend it. But staying on subject, this is a wheel that the fool can literally approach from a figurative viewpoint and spin it. So basically this happens, we spin our wheel anytime we make a decision that can alter the trajectory of our journey. So even though the cosmos plays a part in our lives as we know it here on earth, that we have no control over, life happens, this is the part of it where we have control from our earthly realm, saying, this is the choice I make. This is what I'm choosing to do. And there's different symbols going on in this card. So let's see here, because it's when I'm looking into my phone, the images can be a little flipped. So I want to make sure I'm referencing the correct thing. So this angel is called Aquarius. Okay. And so as I go through these symbols, kind of note that they're holding a book. So when I've looked it up, it references it as the Torah, which are also the same letters. What is it? Another reference to tarot. But it's like a book of knowledge, okay, is what it is. And then despite the chaos and the unknown of life, the stability of these huge outstretching wings, that's what those are. Again, this is in the heavenly realm, right? And then right up here, we have the eagle, which stands for Scorpio. And this eagle also has a book. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and go over, there's a total of 4 of these creatures, which are like what they call the 4 elemental zodiacs. Okay. So here is a bull, okay, which stands for Taurus. And then we have a lion reading a book, which stands for Leo. Okay. So we have these on these various corners here. Okay. Now this guy has, of course, we're all familiar with him, if not most of us. He is called a Sphinx. And he stands for knowledge and strength. And here he is, you know that in tarot, our swords are all about action and communication. Okay, it's synonymous with, say, the air. Okay, so that's what this is. And again, he provides that balance to this wheel Okay, going down, you see this guy, this red creature here. He is called Anubis, which is an Egyptian symbol. And he is a dog, and he stands for good fortune and success. And then we're going to keep looking, and right here we see a snake. Now, generally, when I see snakes, I think of change and transformation, as I've reviewed in other previous Go Lives, shedding the old skin for a new. And the snake does this its entire life cycle. Well, on this card, the snake is synonymous with an Egyptian god called Typhon, 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 and he is considered the god of evil. Okay, and let's see here. And then within the wheel, you'll see it looks like a compass. Okay, and within it, we have the 4 different elementals. So it mentions water, salt, sulfur, and mercury. Those are symbols held outside of the wheel. Okay. Let's see here. What else? And I think this is the gist of that card overall. I'm going to briefly look at my notes as I hold it up just to make sure that I did not forget to go over anything with you guys. Let's see here. So 10. So, I generally start off obviously with the Roman numeral, and I think I may have alluded to it in the beginning. This is the Roman numeral for 10. Okay, and this stands for a completion of a cycle. So our fool started off at 0. He was neutral, like an egg full of potential, and he has went this far. And now he is like halfway through his journey through the major arcana, which, yay for us, we've made quite a bit of progression learning about these cards. Let's see here. And I think, wow, we went over everything as far as the symbols that I reviewed as far as researching this card. But in a nutshell, if you don't remember all these various names for the symbols and so forth, it's okay. I've been reading this card as part of the tarot for years. And when I come across it, very simply put, in my mind, it means a decision is being made. And it also, takes into consideration like outside forces we have no control over. But again, this is a decision consciously made by the Fool, which is me and you, on our journey. Hi, Mom. I see you just hopped on. How are you and Belle doing? You have to let me know in the comments, and I'll keep an eye on my screen. So now, as always, I will go ahead and review a few other of the cards from other decks I have for the Wheel of Fortune. So here is one, and it shows a lady, and instead of having the Sphinx, we have this lady, and she's wearing dice around her neck, which to me means it's just taking a chance. Like when we make a decision in life, we don't know if it's going to pan out or not, but we go ahead and we make the decision and we wait to see how things pan out with it. And with this, it shows like the wind around her. So there's a little bit of light, but there's also darkness. So when I look at this card, it means that there's some light and dark forces in play. Not everything is sunshine and glitter. Like, as we all know in life, there are some hardships. So with her, though, she doesn't seem fazed, okay? If anything, they're coming between the black and the white. These are kind of coming from her, and she has struck up a true balance, And so this is the wheel that we discussed, and it seems like she's made a few different decisions. So it's like a butterfly effect. She'll make a decision that leads her down the path to another decision and so forth. So she's kind of building on those life experiences. And underneath her, so far below, there's darkness. But this individual on this card is obtaining enlightenment and clarity, and she's evolving as a person on her journey and more so confident and at peace. So I think that's a really good representation of this card. That no, it doesn't have all of the elements of the original Rider-Waite-Smith, but I like how there's like a lot of similarities though. So that is like pretty cool, you know? So here's another one where it shows this beautiful voodoo lady, right? And it's like she's using, at least we can see one arm visible. Her hand almost has kind of created this thing that it's like this beautiful mask. It looks like there's an eyeball in the middle of it. And it almost looks like there's like kind of like the north, south, east, and west. That could be a nod to the elementals that we had discussed. But it's swirling, it's light and dark, but it's this beautiful thing. And she's just looking at it in a very passive, reflective state. In contrast to the other card I showed you where the lady was like really happy, like she looks at peace, meditating, balanced. But in contrast with this artist, we just have a very reflective lady. It's almost like she's detached from the outcome and she's like a passive observer. Yet this beautiful thing that we're looking at that kind of comes from her hand, this is from her creation. This is her doing. This is a culmination of the decisions that she has made, you know? And then here's another one. Okay. So I think what we're seeing with some of the elements would be a nod to the elementals. And there's that wheel, of course. Let's see here. So I'm seeing the lion, which is our Leo, and a snake. Okay. With this one, there's a scorpion. And there appears to be a statue of a lady with like this container that seems to be emptying of water or some sort of fluid. And then we have our Taurus. And let's see what else here. And then in the background, it's like a kaleidoscope of blues and browns. The wheel is like yellow. The center is like a red-orange. It's almost like a bullseye, you know. And the crow is seated closer to, say, the top of the wheel. So with this, again, this little guy, he might be about to spin the wheel and make a decision that will change his trajectory on the life journey. And then, you know, of course, I always kind of close these things up with a card where it's not Rider-Waite-Smith based, you know. So knowing nothing about some of the things that we reviewed tonight, we have this, and it shows this poor little ant, and he has landed on some leaves, and it looks like he is on top of this body of water. There's some flowers and vegetation around him. And, you know, I think he's kind of worried about like, oh my gosh, if I fall off this leaf, I'm going to drown. However, if I stay on the leaf and I let the wind carry me, and if it makes contact with one of these little green portions of the plant, maybe I can climb up it and then maybe get up out of this mess back onto dry land. So from looking at it from that viewpoint, our ant is going to have to make a decision which could very possibly lead to his demise and death. It also reflects, similar to this card, with the multiple wheels that have accumulated and piled on top of each other. In this card, we have the waves. So again, referencing that butterfly effect. One decision leads to taking us to a different place with another decision being made, and so on. So these are the ripples in the water, which are symbolic of the decisions. Every decision this little guy has made has taken him to this point in his journey. And every decision has that cause and effect and the consequences, good and bad. We unfortunately have both that can happen to us. And hopefully that little guy survives his journey and gets to the land, for safety. So other than that, I think we're cool. And again, I'm really excited that my stuff's on YouTube. So it's going to be uber easy for you guys. Just look up Mountain Crow Tarot on YouTube. All of my videos are on there, and I'll upload this one tonight. You can start from 0 with the full. You can play all to go through all of them. Or if you only need to review only one card and think about it, you can find the one that you need to review and play it. Of course, I'm always available if you have any questions. And if I don't have the answer, we'll research it together. Because one thing in my life I don't believe in is a know-it-all. They're generally not to be trusted. Nobody knows everything, And then what we'll do is tomorrow night, we'll go ahead and we'll review another card. And I alluded to it at the beginning of this, but if you have a minute, check out my game that I've posted onto our group page and see if you could go ahead and contribute your portion of the story that we are making. So I made a little thing about the Fool with a meme that represents the Fool. It could be a picture or a meme. Tim's going to do the Magician. Okay, so we're going from 0 to 1, and then so forth. So in that numerical order with the major arcana, card by card, tell a story based on the symbolism of the card, the meaning, and so forth. I think that'd be a really great way of reviewing it and committing it to memory. And other than that, I think we're good to go for this evening, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. And Mom, as always, I love you, and thank you for always being supportive, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.